YouTube! My name is Scott, and welcome to another episode of Opinions No One Cares About, a video series with all the wit and charm of that guy your mom's dating, who's clearly wrong for her, but she just doesn't see it, and you're not my real dad, Steve! So, I'm gonna talk Harry Potter again. I've been struggling with the idea of the fandom for a while. Now, I know what I said in the past. Now, at this point, I could just give up on Harry Potter. But like I said in my last video, it's necessary to separate the artist from the art. The problem is, she who must not be named over here with her views on trans rights. I'd like to think that if a series of books that I wrote made me a multi-billionaire, I'd be content to rest on my laurels for the rest of my life and not suddenly decide to dehumanize a marginalized group under the guise of feminism. And it doesn't seem like it's going to stop anytime soon, given that the woman recently compared transgender activists to her Death Eaters, claiming that some of you have not understood the books. Normally, I wouldn't be dumb enough to argue with the author of a book about their own work. But what kind of mental gymnastics do you have to do to compare transgender activists, people fighting to protect the basic rights of others, to the Death Eaters, a group of people known not only for persecuting everyone that isn't just like them, but infiltrating the Ministry of Magic and passing laws designed to punish them even further? But she keeps going. First there was the controversy over Hogwarts Legacy, and now there's going to be a Harry Potter TV show on HBO, or Max, or whatever they're calling it, that covers like a book a season. And Rowling herself is involved in the production, apparently because she just doesn't have enough money? With the support of Warner Brothers. Guys. So the point I'm trying to make is, can't we just agree that the books are, I was going to say great, but let's settle for good, and let it end there? Stop doing anything else that even seems to show support, indirectly or otherwise, for J.K. Rowling and her views? Your choice is up to you, of course. I'm not trying to influence anyone's opinion. I'm just saying, as far as I'm concerned, no more Harry Potter videos. I don't really show support in any other ways. I couldn't watch the new show if I wanted to. I don't play mobile games. And as far as the books go, like, I've read them. I'm reading them to my son, and he likes them, but we're almost done. So this doesn't really affect me. But I'm making content here, and this would be a really short video if I stopped now. Plus, my original idea for this video concerns something I noticed that made me pause and think that maybe, just maybe, we should have seen Rowling's issues with trans people coming. It started not too long ago when I watched Hasan Minhaj host The Daily Show.
I can guarantee you, J.K. Rowling had zero opinions about trans people when she was on welfare.
Far be it from me to argue with that intelligent, well-spoken sneakerhead, but I disagree. I believe that you-know-who held her views and was expressing them subconsciously pretty much since the beginning. And to prove it, let's take a look at you-know-who. Yeah. So, Voldemort. Leader of the Death Eaters, super-powered wizard, and as much as I hate to say it, subconsciously trans, because Rowling isn't nearly as clever as she thinks she is. It starts in Half-Blood Prince, where Dumbledore reveals to a young Tom Riddle that he's a wizard. The next part is something that doesn't actually happen in the movie, which is why I have a clip of myself reading it here.
I knew I was different, he whispered to his own quivering fingers. I knew I was special. Always, I knew there was something.
Even as a young boy, Tom Riddle knew there was something different about him. And I've said before that while Harry Potter can be considered a big gay parable, it can also apply to the trans community. Many trans people will tell you that they knew there was something different about them from a very young age. It's not that hard to divine JK's ulterior motive here. This next one? Bear with me. Voldemort's plan to achieve immortality is to create Horcruxes, which are objects that are enchanted to contain part of a person's soul. Most wizards would only make one Horcrux, but Voldemort decides that he needs to make 6 to split his soul into 7 parts. Now, it's not explicitly stated that splitting his soul has this specific effect, but here's this scene.
Harry let out a hastily stifled gasp. Voldemort had entered the room. His features were not those Harry had seen emerge from the Great Stone Cauldron almost 2 years ago. They were not as snake-like, the eyes were not yet scarlet, the face not yet mask-like, and yet he was no longer handsome Tom Riddle. It was as though his features had been burned and blurred, they were waxy and oddly distorted, and the whites of the eyes now had a permanently bloody look, though the pupils were not yet the slits that Harry knew they would become. He was wearing a long black cloak, and his face was as pale as the snow glistening on his shoulders.
We know that at least 2 Horcruxes have been made by the time this scene takes place. So it seems to be implied that splitting his soul so many times is what led to the physical transformations of Tom Riddle into Lord Voldemort. But the idea of physically changing yourself so drastically to achieve your goals certainly doesn't have any sort of real-world comparison, right? Oh wait, I said Tom Riddle, didn't I? That was my last point, because no one calls him Tom, do they? Besides Dumbledore, but, well, he's Dumbledore.
They do not call me Tom anymore, he said. These days I'm known as... I know what you are known as, said Dumbledore, smiling pleasantly, but to me I'm afraid you will always be Tom Riddle. It is one of the irritating things about old teachers. I'm afraid that they never quite forget their charge's youthful beginnings. He raised his glass as though toasting Voldemort, whose face remained expressionless. Nevertheless, Harry felt the atmosphere in the room change subtly. Dumbledore's refusal to use Voldemort's chosen name was a refusal to allow Voldemort to dictate the terms in the meeting, and Harry could tell that Voldemort took it as such.
Yes, I'm reading a lot, but there's one more. Because don't forget when this happened.
He pulled Harry's wand from his pocket and began to trace it through the air, writing 3 shimmering words. Tom Marvolo Riddle. Then he waved the wand once, and the letters of his name rearranged themselves. I am Lord Voldemort. You see, he whispered, it was a name I was already using at Hogwarts. To my most intimate friends only, of course.
Tom Riddle had a new name picked out for himself at the age of 16, possibly earlier. Do I really need to tell you what the real-world similarity is here? And not only that, people don't usually refer to him by the name he chose because it reminds them of all his evil deeds. I assume we're all familiar with the concept of dead naming, referring to a trans person by the name they were given at birth. Voldemort's got 2 names he doesn't want used. So the main villain of the Harry Potter series is a man who realized he was different at a very young age, willingly transformed himself physically while fracturing his soul in the process in order to achieve his goals, and may literally kill you if you dead name him. I believe that's a coincidence about as much as I believe it was when J.K. Rowling chose a masculine pseudonym for the other book she writes that references the father of gay conversion therapy. She was doubling down before we ever knew there was a problem. And on that note, I'm done. No more Harry Potter videos. I know, such a brave stance I'm taking. But I'm going to support my trans son over some random author. But with that in mind, I need to change some things, don't I? I know, using magic at this point doesn't seem quite right, but I'm just trying to pull off some clever editing tricks. So, that's not right. Let's try this again. Okay, one more time. There we go. And there's something else. If any of you out there are still on Twitter, and I understand if you're not, that's my Twitter handle. But as far as the nickname goes, perfect. Well, I guess there's just one more thing. I don't even know if I'm going to be able to do this. Oh, I guess I could. Hey, everybody. Thanks for sticking around till the end of the very last Harry Potter video I'm ever going to do. I hope you liked it. If you did, you know the usual YouTube stuff to do. Like, comment, share it around, subscribe if you're so inclined. Hit that bell icon below for notifications when I put another one up. As you may have guessed from all the Trek theme stuff, I'm going to try and do a couple of Star Trek videos at least. I don't know if it's going to become like a regular thing. I mean, I've already done some. So, they'll probably be sprinkled in there. Anyway, until next time, I have been Scott, and this has been Opinions No One Cares About. Everyone has opinions. This one was mine.